The book of Romans has played a major role in the history of the church. Some scholars say it's the most important book in the whole Bible. Wow. Augustine, Luther, and Wesley all claim that Romans is the reason that they believe in the person and work of Jesus Christ. Romans has spawned awakenings and movements throughout the history of man. I long for God to move and work in our day. I want to see people saved. I want to experience personal renewal and revival. So for the next little bit, we're going to dive into this awesome book called Romans. I'm thankful that you took time today to pull up a seat. I hope these few minutes together help you follow Jesus better by deepening your relationship with Him and helping you live intentionally for Him every day. As we walk through Romans, this podcast will supplement what we're doing in our small group on Sunday mornings. We're in no hurry to get through Romans. What we're really hoping, what we're really after, is that the message of Romans gets inside of us and drives how we live. Paul writes this great letter to those who are in Rome, those people in Rome that are following Jesus. Rome was a place very similar to America today. It had a diverse group of people with a lot of different beliefs. And inside of Rome, there was this group of people who believed in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. They were struggling to figure out what they believed and what to do with the different faith systems that they came out of. So Paul writes this letter to help them figure it all out. He wants them to know and understand the gospel. He wants them to see that the gospel unites them and gives them a purpose. Romans 1:16 is the thesis of this powerful book. Here is what Paul says: "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek." Paul will use the rest of this book to clarify the gospel and to unpack all the implications that the gospel has on our lives every day. But in verse 16, he declares that the gospel is powerful. The gospel is powerful. We have gotten so used to the good news that it's okay news. It's all right news. We miss the power of the gospel. But the gospel is powerful. Listen to what it does. It changes our relationship to God. The gospel connects us to community. The gospel gives our lives purpose and meaning. Let's unpack each of those for just a second. First, the gospel changes our relationship to God. Before we responded to the gospel, we were enemies of God. We were in charge. We had committed treason against the highest power in the universe by saying we want to be in charge. But then the power of the gospel rescues us from the power of sin and the grave. It rescues us from us. The gospel brings life out of death. It shines light into the darkest places. It heals us, and it heals our relationship to God. We are now friends of the King. Even stronger language, we are in the family of the King. We are no longer separated or alienated from Him because of our sin. In the gospel, sin is defeated, and we are rescued and restored because the gospel is so powerful. Second, the gospel connects us to community. Before the gospel, we were outside of the family. But when we believe, we're now adopted into the family. We've been given a seat at the family table. Think about it this way. Christianity is diverse. It isn't made up of people who all look the same or live in the same part of the world or speak the same language. The gospel unites and unifies people from all different backgrounds. The gospel brings us into a community that gives us unconditional love, holds each other accountable, and encourages each other, carries each other. We all need community, and the gospel makes that happen. Third, the gospel gives us a mission, and it empowers us to fulfill our mission. Once again, like always, I'm going to jump to Matthew 28:18-20. This is our mandate. We are commanded to advance the kingdom. We are to help people understand the gospel, and we don't do this on our own. We do it in the power of the gospel. The same power that brought Jesus back from the grave, that brought Jesus back to life. We can go. We can go in that power. We can tell in that power, and we can make disciples because of that power. This gospel is so powerful. It is so powerful that it breaks down racism and religious systems. As Paul is writing these words to the church in Rome, he's trying to help them overcome their prejudices and their backgrounds. I believe that the gospel can do that in our land today. We need the power of the gospel to tear down our broken worldviews and restore us to right relationships with those who look different and have a different background. The gospel is powerful. And you and I can experience that power today and every day. Here are a couple of ways that we can tap into that gospel power. First, we've got to remember the gospel each day. Preach the gospel to yourselves every day. Remind yourself of your sin and your desperate need for Jesus. We need to apply the gospel to our sanctification as much as our justification. Yes, we need the power of the gospel to save us, but we also need it to transform us and empower us to live like Jesus wants us to live. So we've got to preach the gospel to ourselves every day. We've got to remember it every day. Second, we've got to get plugged into a gospel community. Find a small group that believes in the gospel and connect to them. Let the power of the gospel tear down your insecurities and get vulnerable with other people who surrender to the person and work of Jesus. Talk about the gospel with each other. Teach each other how the gospel applies to your everyday life. Finally, share the gospel with those who don't know Jesus. I have found this one thing, that sharing the gospel with others is the greatest way for me to experience the power of the gospel. I have seen it bring people into light from darkness. So fulfill your purpose by helping others connect to the person and work of Jesus. I pray that over the next few weeks that we help each other connect to the person and work of Jesus, and that we all live in the power of the gospel every moment. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Pull Up a Seat. If you've not yet subscribed, do that now so you can get content as soon as it comes out. Also, please help us get the word out by sharing on social media and inviting others to pull up a seat. Until next time, grow in your relationship with Jesus and find one way to live intentionally for Him. See you next time when we pull up a seat.